Joining me right now is House Minority Leader Steve Scalise and Congressman Scalise. I know you want to comment on the AOC lurch to the left of the Democrat Party, but Schumer and Pelosi love to say that Trump throws temper tantrums. So they say that he's petulant, he walked out of the meeting. Well, what does this look like?
Laura, the left is becoming unhinged. And look, I've been in all those meetings in the Situation Room with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the top leaders in the House and Senate. In every single meeting, the president was not only calm, but he was putting options on the table to reopen the government while securing the border. Not one single time, Laura, did they ever put an alternative on the table. Not once. And so this has been going on for almost 30 days now. The president was there during Christmas waiting. He's there now. He's been talking to the American people, and frankly, you're seeing the polling getting better and better as people find out what's really going on. They want to ride this out.
She thinks she can ride this all the way to getting Trump to cave. This is going to be Trump's no new taxes moment. By the way, I said you were House Minority Leader, whip.
Minority whip.
You're a better whip.
Republican whip.
Yeah, you're whipping those votes. But she thinks this is good for her politically. So for all the crocodile tears about the workers and they're all hanging out in Puerto Rico, but the workers, and you get every difficult story of a worker not being able to pay for a bill. Every single story is showing up. It's a drumbeat, and the pressure is on the president. They mean to put the pressure on the president to cave. I don't think the president's caving.
The president has been steadfast and consistent in saying that he is going to do everything it takes to secure America's border. He's pointed out just how bad the problems are. But look, Laura, this latest stunt, and it's not even a stunt, this is unprecedented, where a Speaker of the House is uninviting a president to the State of the Union.
Do you think she's going to turn her back? Do you think they will turn? I predict there are some in this progressive new caucus who will turn their back if that president walks down the aisle.
They've tried to do everything to insult the president, to not even acknowledge that he is the president. The bottom line is the American people want to know the facts about this. They want to watch. They've been tuning in. They watched last week and then saw Schumer and Pelosi give that ridiculous look in response. I think they're seeing that it's starting to come unhinged on their side when you see more Democrat members of Congress getting really nervous about this because they're seeing people not get paychecks, and they're seeing that their party is standing up for open borders. They don't want to secure the border. That's an untenable position to hold. So to say you're not going to let the president come to the Capitol to give a State of the Union.
I thought it was the People's House.
It's never happened before.
I thought she always likes to say it's the People's House, Grandma Mimi with all the grandkids.
No.
I mean,
this shows,
what is this?
They might be holding the paychecks of government workers hostage, but now to literally hold the State of the Union hostage, Laura, that's an untenable position.
Do you think the president should just say, I'm coming?
I'd like to see him pick another venue, go near the border, go show exactly what's going on, not only at the border, but look, if you live in Pennsylvania, you know somebody whose son died of an overdose from heroin. 90% of the heroin's coming from the southern border. This problem affects everybody in this country. We've got to secure the border. I don't think, look, the Pelosi can try to stop the truth from coming out. I talked to Secretary of Homeland Security Nielsen this evening about this very problem. She said the Secret Service, first of all, they've been planning this.
That's a lie. Now, let's just call it what it is. They say that Trump lies. That was a lie.
The Democrats never even reached out to them to find out if this was a problem. It's not a problem. They're afraid of the facts coming out. Pelosi can't sustain this.
Cracks in the Democrat opposition to the wall.
They're feeling the heat.
They're starting
House members, some of these new House members that aren't far left like AOC, they're starting to feel the pressure.
Well,
and look, they tried to stop some of them from going to the White House the other day. That's how bad it is.
They're criticizing Clemson. They're like criticizing Clemson. Some of these people are criticizing the National Football Champions. All right, this is Steny Hoyer on with Bret Baier today about whether the wall is immoral. Let's watch.
A wall is immoral if it tries to imprison people who shouldn't be imprisoned.
Okay.
A wall that protects people is not immoral.
Do you think a wall or barrier is racist?
Look, Brett.
Listen, Mr. Leader, here's the bottom line.
I don't talk in those terms. Yeah. And I don't think that's the way we ought to look at it.
As I said in the angle, calling someone or something racist as a way to avoid a real substantive debate that's a weak sister move. That's a weak sister move.
And it defies the gravity of where they were. In 2006, Chuck Schumer voted not just for steel slat barriers as they want to build. Chuck Schumer and Barack Obama voted for over $50 billion. The president's asking for 1/10 of that amount.
I think the president has to stay. He has to be a wall of strength for the American people.
President Trump has been rock solid, standing up through the American people to secure the border. Look, the American people, by and large, want to get this done.
Yeah, until Nancy drops her security detail and keeps the door open, Pacific Heights, then for wherever she's living now.
Now's the time.
Yeah, okay, unlock the door to your house, and then we'll talk. Great to see you as always,
Great to be back,
Congressman.
Laura.
Thanks so much.